The Cryptonaut Podcast is brought to you by Cryptid Crate. Visit cryptidcrate.com and enter our promo code GRAMPUS, that's GRAMPUS, at checkout to get 10% off the entire life of your Cryptid Crate subscription. We just launched a new design in our TeePublic shop. We put up the Evil Science and Magic Buddies design, so it's up there as a t-shirt, as a hoodie, as a coffee cup, as a travel mug, as a sticker. So be sure to shoot over there and get yourself one of those. The link for that will be in the description of this podcast. And as always, any purchases made on the TeePublic shop, we get a little kickback on the end, and it helps us support the pod financially. So yeah, check that out. And again, that is our TeePublic shop. The link will be in the description of this podcast. And when you buy merch and you get it, take some pictures of it and post it online. And yeah, we love seeing you guys rocking the merch, so that is super awesome. So thank you very much. Also, too, before we get started this week, we wanted to give a quick thank you to everyone that joined Rob and I this past Friday on the Cryptonaut live stream. It was super fun. We had a super awesome time. Yeah, unfortunately, we had some tech issues after the fact. When we got the audio and we got the video, there was some artifacting in there, so I'm not sure if we're going to be able to release anything on that, but we're going to go through it and see if we can salvage anything out of there. So if anybody out there has any tips on live streaming, on setups and whatnots, be sure to hit me up. Let me know. I'm kind of been researching this for a while, and we're running into just some equipment issues. So regardless of tech issues, it was still a super fun time. There's tons of people in there talking. We had a blast. It was awesome. So thank you all very much, and hopefully we will be on the live stream very, very soon. So without further ado, we can get it started. This is one of the shortest intros I think I've ever done, which is awesome because I'm so tired. I've got 3 hours of sleep. I've got like maybe 5 cups of coffee in me, and I have to be to work in like 2 hours. So without further ado, Christopher, cue that creepy music. Podcast. I'm Mark Storrs, and with me, as always, is
I'm Chris Karate.
Oh, Karate Chris.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
Rob Morphy.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode. We are on the social medias, Robert.
We sure are.
The Facebooks,
I've heard.
the Twitters,
So I'm aware.
the Instagrams.
I don't believe it, but if I see evidence to the contrary, I'll support that.
Follow us on those platforms. We love talking with everybody, having a fun time over there, especially Instagram. It's so fun.
I wish I had it.
There's just pictures everywhere.
You can have it.
I can't.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe can I get it from like an old school desktop computer?
On your tablet. You can do it on your
How
tablet.
about your
Like my
new school
Rosetta Stone?
desktop computer, Rob?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
No,
I can
actually,
do
you
it.
can't do Instagram on a desktop. But
Can't? Why not?
They don't have
It's
it.
app only?
Yeah, but they do have an app for your little Android tablet.
I had no idea.
Well, we should
That's
get you
weird.
on the gram.
Well, I would love to say hello to these sons of bitches.
Be sure to leave us ratings and reviews on the iTunes and the Apple Podcast apps. It helps us out greatly. And before we get started, we have some reviews we're going to be going over here. So let's kick it off with Kid Tested, Dad Approved.
Oh.
5-star review from Down Lake Lead. I want to thank you guys so much for such an entertaining and engrossing pod. As I was raised on a diet of In Search of Stephen King and Joe Bob Briggs' Monster Drive-In Theater / Monster Vision.
Oh, snap. I love all of those.
I can really appreciate the jokes and references that you pepper into each episode. I'm a father of a 3-week-old who doesn't like to sleep. So your pods have kept me laughing and motivated through some very, very, very long nights. Keep up the great work and keep on dancing the dance macabre.
Oh, snap.
Macabre.
P.S. As a Florida resident, I can confirm that Mark is right. Alligators do indeed roll in the dead and laugh at you the whole time.
Of course
I don't know
do.
if they laugh.
True, they might not laugh, but they do roll in the dead.
How do we
That's what
have?
they do.
We have an eyewitness
We
claiming.
knew that, but they don't laugh.
It'd be cool if they did those.
They have to.
Rolling in corpses.
They'll
And
be-
congratulations
Terrifying.
on the new baby.
Congratulations on the 3-week-old. That's
Sorry
that's
about
awesome.
the lack of slumber, but
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that'll ever get any better. I'm
No,
sure a
as
lifetime
a-
of concern and worry is in the
Yeah.
future, but also a lifetime of love and pride.
Yeah.
So
As a father of 2, I can confirm I have not slept a wink since my son was born a mere 7 years ago. But I'm having fun,
And that's what counts.
and we're playing video games, so it's good.
That's true.
And he is currently obsessed with the Predator franchise, which is kind of cool. So, moving on. Weird and Wonderful 5-star review from Captain. How do I do this?
America?
Captain America.
I think that's how I pronounce it.
Stumbled on this pod one day and haven't stopped listening since. Informative and entertaining and peppered with jokes and plenty of pop culture references. Feels like I'm hanging out with friends. Well, thank you, Captain America.
Sweet.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
The last one here for iTunes is going to be Fun Times and Cryptids from Connor Rosler. Rosler. I can't pronounce your last name, but that's okay. Fun podcast for Off the Beaten Path Cryptids. Ever wonder what 3 drunk heterosexual men think of strange encounters? Definitely tune in.
Wow.
Okay, we're not always drunk.
Yeah.
No,
Like
we are.
right now, right now we're not.
We're not. We will be by the time we're done recording.
Connor
Probably.
has the keen eye of understanding a drinking problem through the audio format. I'm pretty sure. So
Well, when you can hear like
yeah,
and cans
yeah.
popping
Well,
and
you
beers
can hear
pouring.
me. I start to slur.
I do too.
Yeah. Well,
We all do.
me and
We all
Chris
get a little
slur.
sloppy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's part of that. You know what? That's part of our charm.
It is. It is. But thank you, Connor. And yes, we will continue doing that. I lied. There's one more review.
Oh, my good Lord in
this is
heaven.
going to be a little something special.
Oh.
Okay.
The twist.
This is from Cajun Tech.
Oh.
A 3-star review.
What? Unthinkable.
Too much talking over one another. Hosts are decent. And the subject
Decent.
matter is good. But there's too much crosstalk with the people talking over one another and too much joking around, which takes away from the subject matter. Out of an hour episode, it feels like the listener gets maybe 15 minutes of content because of their irrelevant banter.
Oh, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I wish people could see the look on your face.
I know,
That
what
was
are you
great.
talking about?
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
It cuts
So,
to the quick. It cuts to the quick.
You know what?
He has found the things that we've been insecure about from word go.
It's okay, though.
And rapier like impaled each one.
Okay, well, first of all, stop talking over me because I was going to say something and you just interrupted me.
Shit. Oh, no.
Hey,
Is it-
knock, knock.
Who's
Shut up. Ha, get it, guys. Ha.
That's the alligator.
Oh, that is the gator.
That
You
Jabba.
want the Java?
Yeah.
I will say this, Cajun Tech, you are not wrong in your assessment. No,
Yeah.
that's fine because we all,
That's
you
true.
can have your review.
I
you know what?
honestly expected this review the first week. I thought there are definitely people who are so reverential about these subjects. And you know what? We all are highly respectful and have a huge affection for it. So I get it. And they would think anything that's even slightly irreverent was somehow snidely disparaging the subject at
Yeah,
hand, which
sure.
of course is not what we're doing. But I wouldn't have been surprised had a lot of people felt this way.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that our reviews reflect that generally people don't feel this
Oh
way.
no, people have gotten us right out the
yeah.
gate.
And I mean, and you know what? Cajun Tech is not wrong in his assessment of that
No.
we talk over each other because we've been known to do that on occasion. And maybe we might meander a little bit, but I think people like
Yeah.
it. So I'm going to say, you know what, Cajun Tech, you are allowed to have your review. And you know what? We will read it and we will give you the platform to do that.
Absolutely. We will never not read something because it's disparaging.
Exactly. So, Robert, can you bring us some stuff from Facebook?
Oh, I sure can.
Awesome.
Now let's get back to the world of people who like us.
Oh, jeez. Let's not have, listen, no feelings are hurt.
No, not at all.
Okay, good. Continue.
Honestly, not at
Pride
all.
was lost.
No, we'd never.
Pride was lost. Feelings were hurt. Stop talking over me.
David
Anywho.
Gale gave us a 5-star review.
All right, thank you.
So this is from, again, David Gale. 5 stars, exclamation point, to emphasize the status.
Ooh, Cool. man.
I love listening to these 3 friends dive into the world of lesser-known cryptids with, quote-unquote, dignity and courage.
Oh, dignity.
Courage.
Continue.
You help make my hour-and-a-half commute enjoyable and entertaining.
Ooh.
I highly recommend the Kryptonaut podcast.
Dude, an hour and a half commute sucks. I feel for this dude.
Oh,
And
no,
hey, man,
that's
I
a
don't know
no,
what.
that's 3 hours a day.
That's like going to Binghamton,
Yeah,
where we are.
That sucks.
For work.
That's tough, man. I'm glad we can help out
I'm
a
glad we
little.
can help out. Totally. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Absitronically. Okay, and the last review I have again from Facebook is from Corey Allen, and he proceeds to say, dudes. Dudes.
Oh my God, 3 dudes?
3 dudes.
Oh, man.
Taking things seriously that most don't take seriously, while not taking yourselves too seriously, unlike most who take these things and themselves way too seriously.
Oh, boy.
Seriously. You goddamn nailed it.
Nice. All right. Well, yeah. Fuck.
And thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, shit.
And a little P.S. Terry, intergalactic grizzled grinning man space cop, needs to be a thing.
Oh, that's right, Terry.
Oh, man, Terry, that's right.
Yeah, Terry.
Shit. I forgot about Terry.
Oh, I would fucking follow his exploits on any number of platforms.
I
Be they
have-
Hulu, Netflix, Sci-Fi
Yeah.
Channel, whatever.
I've got a couple messages this week, at least 4 messages about Big Lou.
Oh, Big Lou is
Oh my
going to be
God,
forever
really?
Seriously,
beloved.
yeah. Yeah.
Big Lou and Terry living together.
Oh, is
Totally.
it like a buddy cop? Not
Well,
a buddy cop.
like
but-
maybe
Could be,
they
yeah.
start an independent investigative agency.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah,
because Big
something,
Lou's had experience with like Annabelle and the Paranormal,
Yeah.
and Terry's been traveling the cosmos, just dealing with this shit like a beat cop has to do.
Yeah.
and they come together to join forces to deal with the paranormal in the continental United States, probably a nice city like Chicago or something.
There you go.
It writes itself.
All right, there you have it. That does
Well,
it for the
shit.
reviews. Before we get into the show, I want to give a quick shout out to a new listener, Jeff Curtis. What up, my dude? He's our
Hey.
new listener. Contacted us on Facebook, and yeah, he totally digs the show. So just wanted to give him a quick shout out.
Wicked.
So this week we were talking about the Potosi sheep slayer.
Indeed, we are.
This is coming to us. I think this is the first time we've covered anything in this country. Bolivia.
Yeah, I think so too.
Oh,
All right, here we
Bolivia.
go. In what has to be considered one of the most unsettling cases in the history of ufology, this unsuspecting Bolivian shepherdess was tending to her flocks when she had a terrifyingly violent encounter with an entity of unknown origin that would leave her literally scarred for her life.
Her entire life.
Scarred.
You know what these scars are like?
Oh.
Emotional and physical.
Not good. All right,
Just
Robert.
wanted to say.
Robert, let's get into this proper.
Jeez.
This is one of my all-time favorites. The funny thing about this is, it is well chronicled on the interwebs. And for years, I've been collecting information from both published book sources
Right.
and different online accounts. But here's where trying to go to indigenous language accounts really behooves you.
Oh, yeah.
Because I finally found a full-on eyewitness account that completely re-illustrates the entire event. As
All right.
and I'll mention some of those differences after. Right now, I'm going to give it to you the best I've been able to suss out, the real deal of the Potosi sheep slayer.
So is the Potosi sheep slayer your name for this creature?
It's been dubbed the sheep slayer
Oh,
for
okay. I
a long
wasn't
time.
sure if this was
so no,
yours or
this
not.
isn't.
Okay, cool.
A lot of times I'll throw the moniker on.
Right.
This one I will not take
All
credit
right,
for.
Cool. Well, when you're slaying sheeps, you're
From in the region of Potosi,
slaying sheeps.
that's the deal.
Oh,
Yeah.
if they need it, then yeah.
Sometimes you got to slay a sheep.
Sometimes.
All right, Bobby, kick it off.
Let me paint a little picture of location for you guys.
Oh, good. Put a happy little sheep slayer over here.
Oh, Pop Ross. Oh, the best. Situated in the desolate mountainous regions of Bolivia's southwestern highlands, not far from the once thriving silver mining city of Potosi, is a rustic province known as Opoco. Not Otoko, as it has often
not
been
not the Poconos.
erroneously transcribed. Opoco. Not the Pocono Mountains, where I
Yeah.
suppose great comedians and vacationing families once had a ball.
Yeah, not Pinocchio.
No.
None of those.
No.
All right.
In 1967, 24-year-old Valentina Flores and her husband, Gumersindo, that's a fine name.
Gumersindo?
I know, I've never heard that name before in my life.
That sounds like someone like on Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Like Kenny and Gumersindo.
Kenny the Ripper.
Kenny the Ripper.
Kenny.
This couple were managing to eke out a living on a small parcel of land not far from Opoco. These illiterate Quechua Indians led a secluded life tending to their land, livestock, and their 1-year-old daughter, Theodosia, which is a beautiful name.
It's actually a
Theodosia.
real nice name.
Neither Valentina nor Gumersindo were aware of or interested in tales of UFOs or their ostensibly extraterrestrial occupants that had grabbed headlines the world over. And absolutely nothing could have prepared Valentina for the horror she and her infant daughter would face on an evening just after Easter of that year. That year being 1967, as I'm sure we all recall. Late in the afternoon on the day in question, Valentina led her flock of 64 sheep into a grazing field adjacent to a hilly expanse that housed a long-standing stone corral. It was then that she noticed, much to her dismay, that her herd of llamas had wandered off. And nobody is happy when their fucking herd of llamas wanders
fucking
off. Just so you
llamas.
know. That's a bad scene.
No.
No, they're not a small animal. They might be kind of hard to wrangle.
It could be.
Yeah, and then they
I mean, if you got
spat
64
at
of them
you.
or whatever, yeah, they're dicks.
But she's an old school
But they are not.
herder.
But they are not an alpaca. If you call an alpaca a llama,
Oh.
you are.
Well, first off, that's
fucked.
racist. So don't do it.
In the animal world, probably.
Yeah.
I have been scolded more than
You got
once.
chastised by who?
By whom?
Yeah, because
Alpaca police?
I saw
Alpaca
I saw an
police.
alpaca. I was actually with my daughter at a local pumpkin patch. There's an alpaca. I'm like, oh, it's like a llama. It's kind of like a llama. The guy's like, it's an alpaca. I'm like, well, calm down, Bill. It's gonna be okay. Like, you're not gonna yell at me about
You know,
this.
I have to say for a fact, a buddy of mine who went on one of those global semesters where she traveled the world,
Right.
a buddy of all of ours named Christine.
Yeah.
She brought me back a bottle of
Alpaca piss?
from Peru. It's tasted like alpaca piss.
Okay, good.
It wasn't fucking tequila. It was this locally sourced,
jeez.
frozen from a cactus alcohol that was very much like the garbage cousin of tequila.
Okay.
And
Right.
an alpaca hat. Now, she knows
Oh,
I'm bald.
very
I've been
nice.
bald forever. So I thought, oh, it's so sweet. A nice warm hat.
Since you were
that
3.
itches like 1,000 fire ants dancing on your
Yeah,
head.
It's like
constantly.
wearing hay.
Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was the most
No.
brittle, evil fucking fabric in the world, substance, whatever the fuck you'd call it. It was like wool's nefarious cousin. It was horrible.
What happened to the sheep, Robert?
I saved it as a memento.
All right, good.
It will never be put on my
Yeah.
crown again.
All right. So what happened to these
Okay.
llama?
Famed Spanish writer and UFO investigator J.J. Benitez managed to track down and interview the then 59-year-old Valentina in 2001. She described the scene to him. That day I was alone. My husband was commissioned, and like the rest of the men, he was in the Pampas, this sort of swampy area not far away from where they were, working. It was around 4 in the afternoon. I went to look for the llamas and their young. They had gone astray. Then I gathered the sheep and lambs in one place and went searching for the animals. With Theodosia strapped firmly to her back in a traditional blanket wrapping known as a manta, which I'd never heard of before.
Manta.
It's just, when they make a backpack.
Like a weird
papoose sort of
papoose,
thing.
yeah.
Right. Valentina began stalking her llamas, ultimately tracking them down to a meadow about 45 minutes away from the field where she had left her sheep.
Jeez,
Gee,
that's
that-
far.
That's
Yeah.
that's a stray.
Well,
Yeah, wow.
I mean, they're grazing animals. They got long legs. They do what they want.
Yeah, it's true. Bad attitudes. There we go.
Why do you hate on the alpaca so much?
I don't. They're a fiercely independent creature.
Fair
and
enough.
They are clearly not fucking those things I said that they were.
Llamas.
Yes. God damn it.
The shepherdess collected her foraging animals and began herding them back toward the sheep. The sun was beginning its slow descent toward the horizon by the time Valentina had returned with her llamas in tow. This time she was shocked to discover that now her sheep were nowhere to be found.
Son of a bitch. The
Just-
sheep saw what the llamas were doing and were
Yeah,
like, yo,
this
they
is
got the
fucked.
right idea. We're fucking
Yeah,
outski
out.
badowski.
Yeah, we can,
Llamas are
we
a
can
horrible
live.
influence.
They-
They're like
they-
they're like the bad uncles of
Dude.
the sheep world.
Bad attitude llamas. Not good.
Confused and more than a little annoyed, Valentina left her llamas behind. Bad call, probably. We'll see how that works out.
leave a llama behind.
No.
Every time you do, they just fucking do their own thing. And she and her slumbering daughter, Theodosia, followed the sheep's tracks into the nearby hills. As she neared the aforementioned stone corral that was embedded in these hills, Valentina hesitated, noting that there was something peculiar covering the eerily silent structure. What gave her pause was the sight of a sprawling, web-like substance that draped like a circus tent over the whole of the stone enclosure. The material resembled a network of plastic mesh that emerged from a pole-like structure in the center of the corral and seemed to attach itself to the rock walls. So she sees basically
Oh, so it actually looks like
super
a
web.
tent.
Yeah,
like
it
there's
looks
a,
like
looks like a pole and some shit coming
Coming
off.
off of it?
Yes. So it's an open stone corral. It's just basically
Right.
a,
But-
a semicircle rock enclosure.
Right.
Open top.
But there's like a pole in the
And now
middle,
there's a pole in the middle.
seemingly, and then this
With
weird
some
web
weird
stuff
mesh coming off of
Yeah,
it? Like
webbing or mesh.
creating like a
But
tent
and
effect
yeah,
almost?
so it looks like a
100%.
tent.
Okay, weird.
Yes.
Weird.
Oh, the Black Circus.
Oh, dude, fucking killer clowns from outer
I'll
space,
explain the Black
dude.
Circus later.
Black Circus? Okay.
Determined to find out what was going on with her livestock, the young mother pushed her fears aside and crept closer to the edifice. Valentina could barely stifle a gasp of horror when she saw that the ground beneath the webbing was littered with the disemboweled carcasses of her family's prized sheep.
This is the worst or best circus, depending on
What
your take of
the
this.
fuck?
Yeah, if disemboweled
How is it the best?
sheep is exactly
Dude.
what you want in a circus,
Yeah.
then it's the best.
It's like the Cannibal Corpse circus.
Like 99.9%
Oh,
of
okay.
circus goers are probably going to be very disappointed.
Yeah, you better put that on the ticket.
Yeah, I cannot bring my kids to this show.
Cirque
Oh,
the
no.
fucked up lamb. All right, sounds good.
Oh, that's good.
It was then. It was then.
All right.
That a flicker of movement caught Valentina's eye, and she spied the childlike entity that had been responsible for eviscerating 63 of her sheep.
63 sheep were dead?
63 of her 64 sheep were dead.
She got one sheep left.
And you know what's happening to this thing?
Oh no.
Let me tell you.
Oh no, is it mid-evisceration?
It was in the process of attempting to do the same with the final struggling lamb by way of a tubular device with a razor-sharp hook at one end that seemed to be attached to this unknown entity by means of a chain.
What?
Wait, where? What was the entity?
Okay.
Childlike, right?
A childlike entity.
Okay.
I will describe it in much more detail
Okay.
very soon.
Okay.
But there's, under this tent-like thing,
Right. 63 dead.
63 dead sheep.
Eviscerated sheep.
Gutted,
Okay.
disemboweled,
Right.
the whole 9 yards. And he's kneeling on.
On number 64.
Yes.
With his
You-
tube weapon.
You know, let me just keep reading. It'll explain
Okay.
everything.
All right.
Next to this entity was an open bag full of sheep entrails and organs. The understandably upset Valentina described the sight before her. Now, this is a direct quote. There was a small man inside the corral. He was like a child, on his knees and with a sheep between his legs. The pen was covered with something like a net. I panicked. The individual had killed all of my animals. Valentina would go on to describe this mini mutilator as being
Jesus.
young and chubby.
Oh my God! So it's in a cherub.
It's a little,
Yeah, it's a cherub,
chub-ass
yeah.
cherub. He stood just over 3 feet tall and was wearing strange clothing. This is again a quote. Strange clothing like a diver. One piece from the neck to the feet. The boots were brown.
Ah.
The shepherdess further described red crisscrossing straps that covered the humanoid's chest in an X shape.
Okay.
Like bandoleros kind
Yeah.
of, but like straps, which supported a large mechanical-looking rucksack on his back. The creature also had two
says that?
utility-like satchels attached to his side.
What
Okay.
the fuck? Really?
Yeah. So let's get this picture here. And we're not done yet.
All right, okay, we'll continue.
Just
I'm
over
sorry.
3 feet tall.
Okay.
He's got this like X strap across his
Like
chest
a-
with a super mech'd out backpack.
Yeah,
Like a
sure.
weird, like lollipop kid kind of thing.
Yeah, that's
All
a really
right.
good analogy.
All right, cool.
Jesus.
And so he's got brown boots and a one-piece suit.
Dude, this is fucking macabre.
Oh, totes.
This is
Totes
Mecca fucked up.
Yeah.
Valentina noted that the being's odd, blocky helmet, which had a sizable propeller crowning it, like a fucking super beanie, essentially. She also got a good look at his exposed face, which she described thusly. He had very white skin, with blonde hair, blue eyes, and this is my favorite thing in the
Oh
world,
no.
and a red and abundant mustache.
You don't have blue eyes, blonde hair with a red stash.
You do if you're from Sheep Slayer 4.
No, this is like
a
a
planet where it heralds.
This is like a fucked up Nordic.
Because like a mini Nordic.
No,
You can have red
It's a mini Nordic.
mixed in there. It happens.
It's fucking mini Nordic.
People can have reddish.
I know people
I had
that
reddish
have
facial
yeah,
hair
I
most
know
of my
people
life.
that are,
is
have
this a
brown hair and have reddish
rogue
facial.
Nordic?
We just don't know.
Okay, continue.
Those 3
But
feet
I do
tall.
know
Oh,
that
boy.
what she described, this delightful tiny Sam Elliott, is the best way. The best way I've ever heard a mustache described, and that is
Abundant.
red and abundant
Abundance.
mustache. Just a thick, voluptuous
So
mound
it's a
of lip hair.
Brimley, a Wilford Brimley
Oh,
mustache.
all
Is
the
it?
best. Tom
it's gotta
Selleck.
be, yeah.
Name your great mustache.
Yeah.
This is it.
Well, you have to
A
have
fiery red.
You have to have a lot of lip to nose space.
That's
You know
true.
what I mean? For those
Yeah,
kind
I
of
can't grow
like someone's
that.
got like
No.
Yeah, I don't have
No,
that. I don't
none
have
of us.
all that
None of us
space.
are rocking one of the prime.
I
mustaches.
want to so bad because it looks cool how full
Oh,
it is.
God,
but
yeah.
I can't.
Yeah,
I
but you
can't
always
do
have to have it. If you shave, then you have like 3 feet of space between your
Your
nose
lips
and your
and your
top lip,
nose,
and so people look at you like you fucked up somewhere.
Yeah, you can like land like helicopters on that.
Yeah,
so.
it's a trampoline.
Yeah.
Can we play on your upper lip?
Jesus Christ.
What the fuck?
Valentina,
Anyway,
enraged by the mass carnage caused by this diminutive butcher, did what anyone might do in her place. Anyone care to field a guess?
did she book or throw rocks?
Did she kick it?
Microwave? Did she put it in microwave?
No. She did not put it in the microwave.
Okay.
She didn't
But
book.
you're on. You got Chris knows.
She booked?
No.
Oh, the rocks.
She fucking hucked rocks.
Yeah,
Fuck
see?
yeah, you
It
do.
is what
There's
you
either,
do.
yeah, you right. If you're out there and you book or you huck rocks.
Yeah, think about it, dude. The thing's the size of a child. You can easily take a kid out with a sizable rock. Not saying that I thought about it. I'm not saying that I
that
thought
was
about
spoken
it.
like
Wait a minute.
seasoned
Yeah.
rock
You can
wrangler.
Explain.
You can easily take a kid out with a rock. And even in this thing, okay, abundant mustache aside, which would add to its armor in D&D, good sir.
Really?
a
This thing-
mustache?
yeah, totally.
It would not add to its armor class.
There's got to be a roll.
Would
There
you
has to be
please
a
stay on
roll.
point?
no,
God damn
Okay,
it.
anyway.
there is not.
When I DM, God damn it, there
That's
is.
why you don't.
But this thing has this hook-like tube with a chain and a backpack, so it's got some equipment.
It's got some gear.
But if you get a
and a
decent
bag full of organs.
Exactly, but if you get a decent sized rock, if you hit that anywhere top of head, mid chest, it's fucked.
But
Well,
don't
so
forget,
wait a minute.
Don't
So-
forget, there's still
but-
this tent above it.
Oh, there
This
is.
weird
That's right.
webbing.
How do you get
But
through
it's
that?
wait, so it's got a helmet, but the face is open.
Yeah.
though,
Yes.
so she can see
Yeah.
it.
So
And
it's got a
pro-
blocky
It's got a
helmet
fucking
with a propeller on top.
Oh, the propeller. Yeah, shit.
and
I
its
didn't think
face is
about that.
exposed. Yes.
So he could very well fucking fly
yeah,
away.
Yeah, he can Mario 3 out of there.
And then he comes after you with a big fucking chain hook, or with the tube. With the,
So
the-
as we stated, let's get back
Okay.
to the account.
all right.
She began pelting this bizarre interloper with rocks and spewing forth a string of decidedly unladylike curse words.
You've got to swear while you're
Oh,
doing
you got to
it.
swear.
Yeah.
When you're chucking rocks at
Yeah.
the fucking interloper that's fucking killed all your sheep,
yeah. What do you say?
it's on.
Yeah.
At this point, the miniature Mangala abruptly said,
Oh my God!
The miniature
no.
Mangala?
Dude, what else could I say? How else could I describe this thing?
Did you mean a minute?
Joseph Mangala
I
was
know.
the angel of death.
Wait,
yes.
he was a diminutive butcher. Now he's the miniature Mangala.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. Who also at the same time was
man.
in South America. Coincidence?
Oh,
Very
wait, hold
much
on.
so, yes.
Christopher Nazi Bell.
Dude, I'm telling you.
There's no
Nazi
Nazi
Bell.
bells in this.
Okay,
I will
well,
say this.
It doesn't mean it's
Well,
not affiliated with it though.
It could be. He could propel. He could Mario
well,
3 into a Nazi
he
Bell.
is fucking Aryan as the Dills, with pale white skin, blue eyes, blonde hair.
Nazi experiment gone awry.
Probably not. I just wanted to write
Is
miniature
this
Mangala.
alternate
Okay.
universe Thor?
Oh my god! This is the shittiest Thor ever.
Oh, good lord.
Okay, miniature Mangala.
At
Continue.
this point,
Jesus.
said entity abruptly stood up, releasing the last sheep, and turned around to face his earthly assailant with an expression of shock and fear.
Oh, like he wasn't.
Startled.
He wasn't expecting
Unexpecting
it. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
He leapt over to a strange device with a long pole on top, which is in the center of this tent.
Which is what has the weapon or
Okay.
whatever. It's the
which
stone
Valentina,
corral.
with her limited knowledge of technology, later compared to a radio, and cranked a wheel-shaped lever at its apex, whereupon the elastic webbing that covered the corral rapidly retracted
So
into
there's
the
like a
device.
wheel-shaped thing that he spun.
So he's cranking a wheel,
Okay.
and this
And
netting
then-
that
And all
was
of a
attached
sudden,
around the
okay,
stone
it
just went
retracted.
into the
Holy
pole,
Jesus.
went back down.
Okay.
What the fuck?
Once the tent-like covering was gone, Valentina noticed another virtually identical entity standing on the opposite side of the corral.
There's two.
There's two. At being seen, this second being sprinted up a nearby hill and sat down in a chair-like device. A set of blades and a rotor-like mechanism came out of a pair of cylindrical attachments behind the chair, and the creature promptly took off, leaving his cohort to fend for himself.
And his own little propeller
He's got a
chair.
propeller
He's
chair.
got a sweet, which
He
I
fucking
can't
laughed.
help. The first thing that pops in my mind is MODOK's Doomsday Chair. You
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that
Yeah.
weird
Yeah,
super
yeah.
tech
Yeah.
floating arsenal that MODOK, the
Yeah.
big giant-headed
Yeah.
Marvel
Who was,
character.
Who was the new god that had the chair? Was it remember there was one of the new gods
Oh,
had that
yeah.
chair? It's not the Mobius chair. I don't know.
You know what? They were
I'd call
probably
it that.
both originally drawn by Kirby.
They
I'm
were.
sure they
Yeah,
what
were.
you
they
see
totally
is
were.
Kirby as fuck. So
Yeah.
she doesn't. really have any
These
words
actually-
to describe this thing, but I can't help but think of it as super comic book texture.
The description sounds like a Kirby character, almost like something you'd see like in Asgard, like his version of Asgard.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
or like in like the New Gods for that matter.
It was then that Valentina decided it was time to get down to business.
Bigger rocks?
Does she have a machete?
She removed her wooden, iron-tipped cudgel from her sack and entered the blood-slathered corral like a gladiator entering the arena.
Fuck yeah!
Who knew she had a fucking metal tipped
I mean, when you're alone
cudgel?
in the vast expanse of the plateaus of Bolivia, you got to have something to protect you and your child and your livestock.
Normally, I would say this is where like Angel of Death kicks in, but it's not. This is where fucking War Ensemble kicks in. We're skipping over Angel of Death. We're skipping over Rain and Blood. We're going to straight up War Ensemble.
That would be a good
This would be
accompanying
it.
tune.
Yes.
Absolutely. She glanced down at the mass carnage that represented the better part of her and her family's livelihood and angrily approached the creature responsible for the devastation.
Cudgel in hand.
Evidently anxious, the little man tried speaking to the furious shepherdess in a language that she could not comprehend.
Whelps.
She remembered her state of mind in that fiery moment. This is Valentina speaking. He spoke to me, but I did not understand it. It was neither Quechua or Spanish. He was as upset as I was. Oh my God, my animals. He killed them one by one. I became crazy.
Dude, she is going to
Valentina.
snap.
Oh shit.
I love
You're
this.
about to hear it.
Does she have dirks?
I wish. Oh my God. Valentina lunged at the entity with her club, striking him with an agonizing blow. This is how she described it. I hit him with all my strength. I hit him in the face and he started to bleed. The guy was still screaming, but I did not understand it. It was at this moment that the entity decided to defend himself using the same cylindrical hook-ended weapon that he'd used to gut the sheep. He flung the attachment at Valentina, slicing into her chest and arms, but the device always retracted into his hand via the chain.
Oh, that's
So
a
it's a
fucking...
So it's like a
self-returning-
weird like Daredevil.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
here, 100%.
yeah, it is. Or like a fucking scorpion, get over here, and you can fucking retract
Oh,
it.
totally.
Yeah.
It's a perfect double analogy. It's a combination between Daredevil's Billy Club
Right.
and Scorpion's hook.
Yeah.
Because it even looks like it. The device, as it was drawn by people that talked to her, was basically like just a tube,
Right.
but at the end it had like a sharpened hook.
So
Yeah.
it is Daredevil's stick.
It's a Billy Club with a hook.
Fuck.
And then it flies back by use of a
Dude,
chain.
she is taking control of the situation with her cudgel, and she is just fucking shit up.
But it could have gotten dangerous.
Okay.
The mother would later admit, with an almost certain sense of relief, that it was only the large knot of the manta that supported Theodosia that had prevented the blade from embedding into her chest and delivering the killing
Her
blow.
kid's on her back.
So her kid's on her back.
Oh yeah,
and
she
this
just books in the
massive-
battle with the papoose.
With the kid.
Oh yeah, but I mean, this is how her family lives.
Yeah, no, don't fuck with mama.
And she
Wow.
clearly was blinded with rage at this point, not thinking defensively.
It's kind of sexy. Not gonna lie.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Hot mom battling fucking weird
Hot mom,
creature.
llamas, sheep, weird propeller shaped dude.
You might not want to list those under your turn-ons.
Oh, is that in your
particular
Craigslist
way.
ad?
My Craigslist ad.
I'm searching W. Iron tip cudgel. Fierce.
Dead sheep.
Willing to put toddler in danger.
Yeah, it's fine. Look, it's
So hot.
Against
This woman
extraterrestrial threat.
Yeah.
I know.
She's hardworking, all right. She's fierce. She's loyal.
Surely, especially to her
She's
animals.
a good-hearted woman
We don't know that.
in love with a good
Yeah, we don't
timing
know.
man.
Oh, God bless you.
See, that's what happened.
Country
now,
music
now,
reference.
yeah, I
There
know
you
that.
go.
No shit,
Thank
Sherlock.
you.
All
All
right.
right. I just want-
Undeterred, Valentina struck again, connecting with the entity's right forearm. It screamed in anguish as blood streamed down his now dangling and immobile wrist. This demoralizing blow proved to be too much for the sheep slayer, and it used its still
Jesus.
functioning left arm to grab the radio-like contraption and literally head for the hills. So it just ran
Is
out of the
there
corral
another
towards
chair?
the hills that were around it. Once there, he flew off in the same manner as his comrade, never to be seen again.
In a chair again?
In a chair.
Yeah. Okay.
Some reports, this is where it gets interesting. Some reports state that this device actually came out of this mechanized rucksack on his back.
Okay.
Oh, like almost like Well, I'm gonna say almost like a trouble bubble from Cobra when they had
I
those
do-
little
I know
bubbles.
exactly
but
what you
it
mean.
didn't come out of the rucksack.
The trouble
but
bubble.
I'm sure current Cobra technology, it comes out of their rucksack.
Current Cobra
No
technology.
one has ever used the word rucksack as much as we have in this podcast.
Yeah.
I love that word.
It is a good word.
All right, backpack. Whatever you
Yeah,
want.
I know.
whatever.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
deal.
Still. Here's two. In almost all the accounts I found, both in written form and online, this is how it's described. And I'm going to give you guys a little taste of it. This is not apparently the way she saw it.
Okay.
They describe it as a black-clad miniature being with a smoky, almost fucking
Well, okay. Well,
helmet.
Okay.
The Spider-Man villain. Why am I drawing a
Mysterio?
blank? He's my favorite. Yes. I don't know why I just drew a blank.
well,
a
wait,
round
who else saw
Mysterio
this?
helmet. Nobody, but I'm just saying the accounts that have filtered down basically have him having this Mysterio-like smoky helmet,
Right.
black clad, gutted the sheep. These legs came out of the rucksack like Iron Spider, and he flew off into the sky. That is almost universally how the tale has been told and retold since it was first published in a newspaper account in the 60s.
Okay.
What I love, again, and why it pays to really do as much research as possible, is that in reality it was nothing like that. It was a sweet mustachio, tiny lollipop kid with a fucking, like I say, a mega beanie. And he had a sweet Modoc chair
Oh,
that either
okay,
came out
so-
of the backpack or not. So I'm
Right.
just telling you what has been
you're
constantly
saying
passed down.
Okay,
That is not.
Those stories weren't real.
That was not real.
Based on her account.
They were based on the account.
Sort of, but embellished
Well,
apparently.
apparently there was embellishments, and then the embellishers embellished, and then people probably authentically reported at that point the only account they had access to, especially in those days before the internet,
Right.
when it would be nearly impossible to. The only source you had was what was published before in newspapers and books or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm not throwing anyone under the bus by any means, because God knows I've fallen into that trap many times myself.
Right.
But I just pointing out the difference between, as sweet as it was, and when I started working on this article, I don't know how long ago, my first thought was, oh man, a misty helmet, a super space ninja,
Yeah, totally.
gut and sheep.
Of course.
But I much prefer telling it the way it actually
This is a
happened.
Yeah, well,
much
her
better description.
her
Yes.
account.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this thing is gone. She's left with all these dead sheep and one live one, her daughter, who is thankfully unhurt
Yep.
in the ordeal. So let's just give the postscript, then we'll get on to our discussion. Soon after the event, a detachment of the Bolivian army was dispatched to the scene, and they collected all 63 carcasses as well as samples of the creature's blood that had been spilled by Valentina's bludgeon within the corral. It was determined that the sheep were missing multiple internal and external organs, including their eyes, ears, portions of their mouth, as well as belly fat. Authorities also found that most, if not all, the blood that ought to have been inside these animals was neither at the scene or within the creatures themselves where it ought to have been. So the blood was gone. Exsanguination, basically.
Okay.
Right.
Their means of survival now laying dead in a government lab, the Flores family was forced to leave the region, first emigrating to the Oruro mines and finally further south. Other ranchers in the area, when questioned by the Bolivian government, claimed that they had witnessed other strange events in the days prior to Valentina's incident.
Okay.
Some testified that they had seen strange individuals leaping in and out of their sheep pens and leaving behind, again, exsanguinated carcasses. Valentina herself, this is really fucking weird, claimed that just days before her encounter, an unseen individual had thrown a bowl of blood into her face and ran off.
What?
To what end remains unknown to this day.
Dude.
I don't know if it's like early PETA having their go at a sheep herder. I don't know what it was, but it's just fucking weird.
Extremists.
Maybe a curse, perhaps? Some sort of Bolivian curse?
Possibly.
Well, yeah,
Oh.
extremists.
When Benitez, that's the J.J. Benitez, who's like a TV personality, best-selling author, he tracked her down in 2001, like I mentioned before.
Right.
When Benitez interviewed Valentina in 2001, something became immediately clear to the investigator, and that was that even 34 years after her terrifying encounter, Valentina did not know what a UFO, much less an extraterrestrial, was.
Oh, she had like no point of reference.
she
for
was
this
still
because she
illiterate.
was in the hills.
She
yeah,
was in the hills.
Oh shit!
It was not something that concerned her in the least.
Right.
But what she did know and would never forget is the vicious little man who flew off into the sky with a bag full of organs, leaving her family in a state of emotional and financial ruin. So what she does know is this dude totally just tore her life up. They had to leave their family home.
I mean, to her credit, she fucked him up.
Oh, she did. She was
gave
protecting
a proper street beating.
what fed her family and kept them going, basically. She knew it, and and I would have been terrified.
Yeah.
I would have been terrified if I had a gun. I can't imagine if I would. And she just at first probably thought it was just a thief or
right.
I don't know what do they call people that steal cattle in the old days? Rustler, a sheep rustler.
No.
Rustling sheep.
Yeah, I guess. But she still had the courage to face them with her fucking sweet cudgel. There we have the case of the Potosi sheep slayer and the reign of terror that lasted one night and ruined a family.
Am I the only one that was
man.
really hoping that she was going to kill this fucking thing?
Oh, I was definitely rooting for her to get hers.
Its weird little fucking Jacques Vallée
but I knew
goblin
that wasn't
brains in.
going to happen because then there'd be a massive pile of evidence.
Yeah,
there.
but like even them,
But the government did come and confiscate it all.
or maybe if she she didn't smash it, but
the sheep and stuff, but
yeah,
not
but I just
a
wanted.
body.
But they also took the blood samples that were left behind.
Right, I just wanted her.
They would have taken a
to
body
smash
had it been
If
there.
she would have killed this thing, I'd marry this woman. I'm sorry, I would.
But hey,
If she split its
She
fucking
might be
head
a widow
open
by
and
now.
its
She might be
brains
ready
came
to
out of
go.
its head, I'd be like, you are my wife. Let's unpack this thing. So,
I don't even know. There's a million questions.
dude,
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we got to skip over hoax. We got to skip over misinterpreted military maneuver, which is my new term for everything.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Not necessarily. If she's that far removed from any kind of culture, and she doesn't know what
right.
UFO is. I mean, it's like reading Revelation. Like, what the fuck are these people supposedly describing, right?
Oh, so no, that's a good point. So whatever she's
what
seeing,
Chris
she
is-
could be misinterpreting something.
what Chris is
Absolutely.
saying is that, again,
Okay.
you're saying it's a possibility, though I'm not saying you
Not
endorse
military,
this theory, but that a hoax might have been perpetrated on a woman that would not have known.
No.
But not that she perpetrated the hoax herself.
Might not
No, she
even-
didn't. I don't believe that happened. But I'm not even saying that maybe it was a hoax on her. I'm just saying whatever did could have been legit. Just her description of these things might
Yeah.
not be
Living in
what
the
she
hills,
thinks there because she doesn't know how to describe these things.
Yeah,
Which, in my opinion, actually lends veracity to it in the sense that she described precisely what she saw. She wasn't going to embellish it in the way somebody that was familiar with what extraterrestrials were, or even just what was going on in pop culture in general. She was illiterate. She worked off the land. She lived there with her family. She didn't have television. She knew what a radio was eventually because some 34 years later, she said maybe it looked like a radio, but maybe didn't even know what it was at that time. So I don't think she was necessarily, I think she was just describing verbatim what she saw without any embellishment.
this definitely though has not a lot of UFO or alien characteristics whatsoever.
Except high technology
Mutilation.
and fucking helichairs, which is not standard ops for anybody.
It really doesn't sound like an alien at all. I know it sounds weird, but it really doesn't.
Well,
Like,
Well, the use of propellers on a chair.
that's weird. Yeah, that's
a little
that's
weird.
Really
Listen,
weird.
that's something I kind of want to discuss because the assumption has always been this has always leaped into Close Encounters of the Third Kind with an extraterrestrial.
Right.
I'm like you in the sense that I don't necessarily think that we should leap to that assumption. This seems more like a lot of the little people encounters that have been mentioned throughout Middle Europe and even the
this
American Midwest.
Sounds like a classic Jacques Vallée Goblin World type ultra terrestrial.
With chairs and propellers?
Let's not. I'm not going to go into ultra-terrestrialville right now. Let's save that for a minute.
Okay, we'll save
I
it.
will say that this could be a species that is perhaps indigenous to the Earth, living in hidden spaces, wherever these things might come from, conducting what was apparently a scientific experiment of some sort with the use of very advanced tools that she was not familiar with a very advanced, like a super mech backpack
Right.
and escape devices, and is taken away. Now, I agree. I don't necessarily want to lump this in where like the helichairs took them to a UFO and they went right off into the fucking cosmos
Back to
because we have
Saturn.
no way of knowing it.
Right.
But I do think we don't even know that they're non-human, but that
Well,
these are
yes.
strange entities that had access to technology that was not common even in the most civilized portions of the planet in 1967.
Yeah, for some reason, and it's my fault. I continually lump ultra-terrestrials in with the fairy folk, though they're cousins. Possibly.
Well,
so.
when you're talking
No,
about
yeah.
it from a Keel or Valley perspective,
Yeah.
then that's legit. But to me, I think it's important for our discussion to
Yeah, no,
differentiate.
You're right. Yeah,
Because they could be shape-shifting
They
whatever.
could be
The classic
but
ultra-terrestrial.
like you said, I mean,
But there's no point in exploring that because that takes us nowhere.
Yeah.
this could be possible fairy folk, possible,
Or they could be aliens.
Yeah.
Or they
Or
could
they
be
just-
the propellers.
a village of little people that, like Wakanda, has super tech, cloaks it from the rest of the world, and they're some reason hell-bent on ruining this woman and her family's life, or just trying to run an experiment to
Okay,
I
so
know,
for
who knows what.
But I can so the
yeah.
misinterpretation we'll leave on the table because we
Okay.
have to. The hoax, the hoax that wouldn't make sense because why would she kill her own fucking
It doesn't
sheep?
make sense that she would perpetrate a hoax, and
No,
it really
no,
makes
no,
no
that's-
sense to me that someone would perpetrate a hoax on her.
No,
Right.
that's
Okay.
that's not. I'm
All right,
gonna-
so we're going to start off with possible misinterpretation, as
Oh,
Chris,
well,
as Chris brought up,
always,
which is
that's-
which is a good point because she's living in the
What
hills.
could
She's
possibly be
illiterate.
misinterpreted as what she described?
Shit,
I don't know. I don't know. But I have no fucking idea.
I mean, unless for some reason some diminutive poachers came down to
I
eviscerate
mean,
her
like
sheep.
personalized helicopters.
Yeah,
All right,
as
so-
they
all right.
want to travel.
So you've got little one man, like
Yeah.
those. What are those like go-kart fucking style
Those aren't
helicopters?
real.
No, they were real.
Oh,
Absolutely.
No, those
are
little
real.
one man,
Yeah,
little
one man.
They're just like
they-
rebar kind
Yeah,
of, and you sat
like
in and.
So something like that from
Okay.
a slight distance
Right.
could be
Or
interpreted
rebar.
as
Rebar.
a helichair or whatever.
Possibly.
Now, I can't see it coming out in like a transformer, becoming a fucking
Trouble bubble, yeah.
yeah, whatever. But for example, so maybe that's that, and maybe they're just like a twin brothers with sweet mustaches.
Yeah.
Don't get a lot of
Yeah,
sun.
blonde hair, blue eyes, and
they are
and red
they are
mustaches.
on the shorter spectrum of
They
people.
they land on these fucking hills.
Right.
They decide that they're gonna just steal portions of sheep. Maybe they're delicacies. Maybe
yeah,
maybe
like
they're-
organ meat is a delicacy.
I feel like
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
a
Yeah,
lot
totally.
of.
That's a lot of sheep.
Well, it's a lot of organs.
A ton.
63 sheep's organs.
But if you're dealing in
Yeah,
organ meat, I mean that's an
intestines,
entire
ears,
like week
eyes.
at like
I mean,
a
that's
restaurant.
that's got to be well over 100 pounds, if not more,
All right, so
of organs.
our
Yeah.
our one possible theory of rationale is two little people don't get a lot
Two
of sun.
helicopters.
They have mini personalized helicopters, which they both fly separately. They land. They're restaurateurs. They like to serve a very special
So-
clientele. They don't want to pick and choose from a bunch of different herders that live in the region. They just figure, we'll nail this one. She left her flock behind.
Yeah.
It's an easy opportunity.
Yeah, it's like whiskey. It's like single malt. You get single
And
sheep.
before that,
single
they
flock.
threw the blood in her face. It was like, we got you. Like
I
Hydra.
don't even know how
like
to interpret
Hydra
that.
would
No,
do
I
that.
just feel
Yeah.
like I feel like that was the local soothsayer knowing something.
Oh no!
Beware the doodly dee. And she's like,
Beware the
fuck
tiny
it.
man.
Yeah, fuck off. But
And these two goddamn heinous
restaurant
little
entrepreneurs.
Yeah, yeah.
stole off with the guts of 63
Well, yeah.
fucking animals
That's
and
still
then they
a-
fed their.
through a huge party,
That's a lot of
ruined a
pounds of
family, and moved
organs.
on. I think we can all pretty much agree that that is likely not
Do you guys
it.
enjoy gizzards at all? Like gizzards and
No.
sauce?
I don't.
No, I don't
Really?
want. I
You
don't
guys don't
want
like
the
gizzards and
guts.
sauce?
No, I want real
Chris,
meat.
we're Italians. You don't like gizzards and sauce?
No.
I don't like it.
Okay, well, us poor Italians do. Apparently, the richer ones can't fucking eat it, but whatever.
I don't want to eat anything's colon. I don't want any
Well, no, it's
part
not
of filth.
You don't want to eat a colon for
I don't like
lot of
Christ's
gizzard.
people
sake.
I don't like.
colons.
I don't
What
like
are- what are
liver.
small intestines?
I don't
no,
like.
it's just like fucking
No.
like turkey
All
gizzards
right,
and
let's just
sauce.
agree to disagree.
Okay, so we're gonna
it
say
is
that
not. It is not tiny entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
As
I'm gonna
delicious-
put the fucking blimp stamp on this. That is bogus.
as delicious the blimp stamp as delicious as organ meat might be,
It's not.
This is it is.
It just doesn't make sense.
No, it's just not though.
Sons of bitches.
But what it corresponds to, staggeringly, are the cattle mutilations that so enthralled the
Well,
United
that's
States in
right.
the 1970s
Yeah,
and so many
I was-
other
yeah,
cultures.
But this being
And they took
cheap,
similar parts of
Yeah.
said bodies, hunks of the lips, the eyes, the ears.
So, but unfortunately, they
colons
had
and
these
organs.
samples, and there was no
no follow
no
up.
follow up on
Yeah.
what the what.
Well, they sent it to a vet The vet did the autopsy. It was determined that it was no fault or act of God or whatever, that somebody did it, but that they couldn't pin it on anyone specific. Therefore, the Flores family was boned.
Oh, 69.
It was a government-sanctioned veterinarian, whatever the fuck that means.
What a terrible day is like a veterinarian where they're like, okay, Donald, well, today we have to do autopsies on 63 sheep.
They tell you,
like,
tell you
fuck.
what you need to say if something comes up weird.
Yeah,
But do you
they're
know-
like, if you find this, make sure you tell
here's-
people this.
Here's a twist on the story that bears mentioning.
Oh.
And that is, once the autopsies were performed
Right.
and the fault was clearly not established, but though it was man-made, but no culprit, they then sold to open food markets these carcasses. I don't know if the government kept the money or if they were at least kind enough to throw a few bucks towards the Floreses. I don't know. But that's kind of weird that human beings consumed leftovers.
I mean, it's good to not waste the sheep, but at the same time, considering the backstory of said
It
eviscerated
could be
sheep.
radiation. There could be all
Yeah.
sorts of ill shit. What was this fucking tent? What was this?
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
the tent looked
where
like
did
in
the
my
pole
mind?
go?
Like, when you stretch fat,
Yeah,
like
actually-
a stomach lining. I mean.
Well, no, the pole.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah,
The pole
like-
retracted into the radio-like device.
Okay.
So
Oh,
it's
that was at the
something-
base
he,
of it.
he cranked
Yep.
the wheel.
Okay.
Yeah, and,
And
then
then-
brought it all back and then back down. Shit.
That's kind of manual tech too.
Yeah,
He's
well,
cranking it.
That's
It's
what
like-
I mean. Like,
I mean,
why,
do you
why
really
would
ever
do that?
hear? We never get any UFO reports of UFOs having propellers
No,
ever.
that's
No.
like
I
basic.
know. I mean, not the problem with it, but it's weird that the way she describes it is it's really hokey.
It's
I mean, it
super,
really is. It's got
super
these acts.
hokey. Yeah,
It's a square. It's open face. It's got a propeller on its fucking head. I'm
dude,
like,
it's Jack
what
Kirby
are
come
you
to
talking
life.
about? Yeah.
But what
He's
helps?
traveling in a fucking
'Cause
trouble bubble.
If this were a 12-year-old kid from Poughkeepsie, I'd be like,
Right.
he's clearly a fan of comic books, as I would be, and he's maybe just describing some shit he saw. But the fact that it has all this pop cultural ephemera associated with it actually lends to the credibility rather than the basic weirdness, as Chris was saying,
Could be,
because
yeah.
of the source.
Right.
She had no experience with this stuff.
Yeah, she
so
has,
what comes
like-
to us is like cheesy pop culture 60s woo-ha, which is part of what I love about that era.
But she
To
Sure.
her is just some legitimate shit that ruined her fucking
Yeah.
family.
and she apparently has no point of reference for any of that.
Well,
because
still,
of-
no.
yeah.
Well, she
2001.
claims that. Who knows? Maybe she claimed. Maybe she saw a magazine and read something. I'm just saying, it's possible.
There's a possibility.
I don't think she's
there's-
lying.
But I think it's a
No.
matter of public record that 63 of her 64 sheep were slaughtered.
No,
in a
I,
weird fashion.
that's what I'm saying. I'm not
So
saying
I
it's
don't
fake.
think-
I'm not saying she's
I
lying
don't
about
think
it.
she would have
but-
tried to cover up a legitimate poaching scenario when she could have said, Eduardo did this from down the street, and I
Right.
want him to pay me so
Eduardo.
we can survive, or fill in the
in
name.
Bolivia.
I'm just doing my best here.
No, I just.
She
it's
would
a
have
good
done
name.
that
It's
rather
good,
than
yeah.
come up with something
Edward.
weird that she might have seen in a magazine in her trip to the city or
I don't know,
whatever.
maybe
it
she has-
doesn't make any sense that she would lie about
She has
that.
a warrior princess fantasy. And she wanted
yeah,
to be the
she
hero.
does. Yeah, I mean,
No, Mark has
I
a
think
warrior
I-
princess
I'm
fantasy.
actually- I'm
Let's
currently-
not saddle Valentina
I'm
with
thinking
this.
of it right now. I'm just like, oh, Lucy Lawless. God damn it.
Yeah, she doesn't have the chakram.
God.
whatever
I
it's
wonder if she
called.
wore one of those sweet
Gorgeous.
hats that
probably
like the
did.
indigenous
I know what you're
peoples
talking
often
about.
wear.
She had those cool like girl like gladiator boots on.
You're
I'm just
picturing her doing, like, flips
I
and
know.
shit.
I'm picturing
Yeah.
Xena warrior princess, but in Bolivia, fucking killing an alien with
Yeah.
a kid on her back.
But nah.
It is pretty wicked that
But
she
nah.
whacks him right on the face.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what you're saying, but you effed up, son, and I'm here to take vengeance.
This is dude, you know what this is? Street justice.
Oh,
Fucking street
Mountain,
justice.
Death.
mountain justice.
Mountain justice. Yeah.
Tundra. I don't even know if it's a tundra. but-
Tundra.
I think,
Tundra
it's
justice.
I think it's called Alta Plato, those
Alta
flat hills.
Plato justice.
So it's Alta Plato justice.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So this is a lot. Again,
It's not easily, though. It's not conveniently lumped in with extraterrestrials
No,
as it
it's
so
not.
often is,
It's
in my
not.
opinion.
So
It really well, here's the other thing, too. Now, let's bear in mind this. I didn't do a ton of research on this, so it's actually just popping in my head now. But reports of visitors that brought knowledge to ancient peoples in South America very often describe people with red beards, pale skin. A lot of modern day anthropologists and archaeologists think that they might have had contact way before they were supposed to with
Right.
Europeans based on that description.
Maybe.
And one of our listeners can surely Google this and help us out. But the point is this: what if there were in one of these lost cities? I don't know if it's Wakanda-esque in that it's like super tech and covered up by camouflage,
Right.
but these people that have a very European look, obviously ancient astronaut theorists believe they're extraterrestrials.
Right.
Other people believe, again, they're Europeans. But that these peoples settled in South America, brought all sorts of knowledge, would be way ahead of the technological curve of not just the people that lived in Bolivia at the time, but even people in the United States or Russia or anything else that had cutting-edge tech at the time in 1967.
Isn't there stories?
Maybe there's something to that.
But there is stories of like Native Americans fighting like red giants.
Yes.
Right. But so this would be like the reverse.
Yeah, they're tiny.
They're tiny.
Or maybe they're kids. I mean, chubby, small people are generally termed children. Now, the mustache is the dead giveaway, so maybe that's not so...
No.
Well,
accurate.
I mean, the propeller hat's gonna fucking.
Well, all right, maybe
it could be
in this
childish.
culture,
And
when
it's
you're
just-
a strapping buck,
Oy,
you're a
oy, oy.
warrior. But if you're, just tiny and don't make that cut, you're forced to go into the sciences.
Okay.
Who knows?
This is the science.
maybe-
This
Jesus
is
Christ,
the
man.
science division of the red giants.
Maybe they're like Sparta.
Could be.
You
yeah.
fight. But if you can't fight, you build the technology with which others fight.
Man, then you the kid that don't measure up, you toss him off
Yeah.
that weird cliff with all the kid
The
corpses.
mustachio.
Oh, it's
Oh,
gross.
That's grody. To the
Grubby.
max.
So,
But we do have to acknowledge, all our bullshit aside, we have to acknowledge that there is a tradition
Yeah,
of red-haired
no, totally.
Caucasians living somewhere in the jungles of South America,
Right.
and the fact that these are pale-skinned, blonde, blue-eyed, red mustachioed, tiny Caucasians is worth mentioning. It doesn't mean that I know their origin. Are they really the lost Irish
Dude,
posse
miniature
or
mangler.
Yeah,
from
there you go. I
fucking
don't know.
Phobos? I don't know.
from Phobos.
Oh, it
The
could
red
be
planet. Red
Phoebos,
mustache.
Phobo, whatever it is.
Is this Doom? Good sir, we going into Doom territory?
Not
Yeah, I don't
quite.
know. There's just a lot. There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of.
I mean,
things.
but
It seems
wanna
like
go,
Earth tech.
It
just
does,
slightly
yeah, no,
more
it does.
advanced.
From
It
what
does.
she's describing,
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't seem like there's crazy stuff. It's
No.
propellers ahoy.
Can we all like? Can we? There's a lot of actually propellers in this, which just seems like it just seems like
I'm
an
fully
unnecessary
expecting-
technology.
And
It's
in
just-
some of the misreported accounts, it flies off of its own accord. I guess ostensibly with the head propeller, but that's never used for that purpose. Maybe it just further helps hold them aloft in their
How do
super
head
chairs.
propellers even? How would that even work?
I don't know.
It-
I mean,
it
I just
wouldn't
know
work.
beanies. Like, it was
That's
all
what
the
I
rage
picture.
in 1950s
I know,
America.
I
If
know,
you have a
I know.
helmet on with a propeller and that thing takes off, your body weight is just dangling, and this thing is just—it's gonna fucking decapitate you.
You would think, but we don't know their
We
tech.
don't. I mean, actually, didn't Inspector Gadget have one of those things?
I
right?
think
Where
so.
he
I think
he
yeah,
did.
But he had the handlebars.
Oh no, it was a backpack that turned into
No. It came out of his head.
Oh, did
out of
it?
his head,
Oh,
and then
'cause
he had
he
the
was a- yeah, he
handlebars.
was
that
a
came out. He's like,
cyborg.
ah, penny.
Yeah, it
and he
didn't
fucking
matter 'cause
took
he
off.
was-
Yeah, he was a
Cyborg
fucking
09.
robot.
And he's also a cartoon,
would
not
kick his
real.
ass.
So
Okay, well,
Or
let's-
is he?
Can we talk about another piece of the tech
Matthew
that has
Broderick.
me absolutely enthralled?
The
and that is
evisceration
the
tool?
goddamn that no. Well, yes,
Oh,
that
shit.
we'll get to
Oh,
that in a
damn it,
second.
okay.
It's the
The scorpion.
tent. It's this weird webbing, like I say, that reminds me of like stomach lining, like something
Right.
organic almost, that comes out of this machine. Why would he? What's the point at all? He's disemboweling these sheep. He's filling the
No,
organs
it's
he
right.
wants
Well, it
into a
doesn't-
bag.
She
Right.
goes right through it, right?
Well, no, she throws a rock. Apparently, it either rips through it and hits at him or whatever, and then he retracts
Right.
it.
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't seem to stop anything. I guess.
yeah,
is what I'm
and,
saying.
and it doesn't seem.
So
and
what's
it's
the
not
point of
covering
it?
the entrance of the
right.
corral. So what purpose is it serving?
Yeah, what's the
doesn't,
point of
it
it?
doesn't seem to be camouflage. It
No.
doesn't seem to be hazmat
protective.
Well, no, but
Clearly.
what
Maybe
if it
rain?
is some sort of
But
like
it's a dry
what if
area.
this is some sort of like portable clean room?
But it doesn't look.
You
it
can
doesn't
throw a
seem
rock
like that.
through it. Apparently.
and nothing
true.
seemed to be blocking the entranceway.
Yeah,
I just don't know.
Yeah. Right.
It
a
doesn't
really
serve
like a
purpose.
really complicated umbrella.
But again, it's an arid region.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
I don't know.
fucking weird.
Yeah. It is weird.
Now, what I think is
Another report I read too, and I'm going to add it in here just to fully color the piece, is that it wasn't like magically attached to the rock wall, but little tiny pieces of wood had been chopped down from the local region and used to kind of spike the tent, as if he put it up
Right.
and methodically went around the thing
Yo, yeah.
with branches
Weird.
hammering it in,
Weird.
which is absolutely the opposite of like super tack.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just having to like use a wheel to like roll this thing up is kind of funny.
It is funny.
Like, because why would you, like, of all things to use, like, some sort of, like, wheel to just spin this thing down and then it brings up all the stuff?
That's the bare bone shit
if you
that keeps it from being hyper tech.
If you have the tech, you'd think you wouldn't need to go over and manually crank a fucking wheel to
or wedge it in with stakes.
Sucking the tripe tent.
Yeah, tripe tent, perfect.
And then the pole to retract.
It almost,
impossibly.
I mean, it's obviously the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it almost kind of sounds like fucking like Asgardian tech.
Like, well,
a little bit.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
but it does smack of
not obviously
another.
It's a movie. It doesn't
earthbound
count,
culture that might be, and I guess this goes to Marvel because it's more Wakanda-like. That is more advanced technologically than what else is going on Earth, having their own scientific and or culinary agenda. And going out and doing some shit and then flying off to their secretive place wherever.
Yeah, totally.
But it's fucking bizarre.
I mean, again, if it's like you said, if it's some secretive civilization, and these two guys open the restaurant, Mini Mangalos, and they have a lunch special they gotta fill.
God! All right,
there you go.
Clones, part of the Nazi war machine's effort to bring Hitler back.
Ooh.
Of course, Mengele would be on the cutting edge of that. He was one of the top scientists of the SS, doing heinous experiments on twins and other horrible shit. But they would have brought him in, and the first thing he would have done is experiment on himself. So he escaped and was living on the lam underground throughout Argentina and other South American countries. He did horrible, horrible shit. But a lot of people suggest, I'm not saying I believe it, that Hitler also escaped via U-boat to South America, and there was a huge. I mean, there's that new movie coming out about the the capture of Ben Kingsley. I forget who it is.
The Mandarin.
Yes.
The capture of Ben. Poe Dameron captures Ben Kingsley. He captures the Mandarin. Captures Gandhi.
Based on real life shit.
It looks cool, actually.
And
it looks really
was
good.
full of Nazi sympathizers, and Argentina particularly, but also
All right,
throughout
so
South
if
America. So my
Mengele-
point is this: Mengele is brought in to clone the now dying Hitler. It's 1968.
Okay.
He's already, he's pretty old at this point.
Does he have a dump cat?
He has a dump cat.
Okay, good.
That's how they.
Good.
That's what
Jesus
controls the
Christ,
grounds.
just making sure.
And in part of the experimentation he's doing to make sure there's a Fourth Reich, heinous though it may be, he clones himself, but through some sort of mistake, they end up tiny Mengeles. Little miniature Mengeles that he sends out on little errands. Maybe because he likes the taste of fucking sheep liver. Maybe because he needs parts for his experiments. So they have the super tech. It's totally something that would have been written in 60s Marvel Comics about a super burgeoning Fourth Reich hyper tech looking to fucking reclone Hitler to create another massive tragedy for the planet. And Mengele made too many Mengeles, and he was known for his substantial mustache, which he used to cover his hair lip so he couldn't be identified by people that would come and snake him out and give him the justice he deserved.
All right.
I'm just saying, I think we might have discovered a hell of a conspiracy.
I mean, so he like
sounds good. See you next week.
Yep, that's it.
kind of like what Brando did in the Island of Dr. Monroe with his little friend Kevin, right? He had his little,
first off, it's the Island of Dr. Moreau,
I'm sorry,
not Monroe.
Sorry, Monroe.
Secondly, this is more like the boys from Brazil with Gregory Peck playing Josef Mengele, who was in the process of cloning multiple Hitlers. So it's more very specifically like that.
Okay. All right. Cinematically speaking,
Yeah.
I love this.
Reality speaking?
I want to see this theatrical presentation on the stage.
Why are we not writing this?
Maybe we should be. Well,
It would
I think we
be
technically did.
tough to stretch this into a full-length feature.
Yeah. Well, maybe like a 45 minute.
You'd have to have a lot of drama pre the event.
A lot of clone drama.
No one wants to see
And
that.
I really want to spend that much time writing about Nazis.
No, nobody.
It just doesn't
no one
give me
really
any
does.
joy.
No,
some people do,
because
fuck 'em.
right.
So maybe we can say extraterrestrial wise. I mean, yeah, there's nothing saying this can't be aliens.
No, I mean,
clearly.
they could be low-tech aliens with their sweet blunderbusses traveling around the
And their
immediate
manual
solar
wheels.
system.
Their manual, which is so weird for alien tech.
Yeah, that's like how you used to start a radio in World War II.
Yeah. I mean, we can
Jesus
go to
Christ,
John Keel and Jacques Vallée. We can go to the Goblin world and say that these are like some sort of possible dwarven and or fairy, possibly.
I'm not feeling that.
I mean, neither. But I mean, maybe if
it's hard to substantiate the idea of little folk. I mean, the idea of fairies has always. I wrote an entire article for a magazine in Australia talking about why that doesn't get the same legitimacy as cryptozoological studies.
Right.
And I technically just erred on the side that so much of it is fascinating and corresponds with modern UFO sightings, but it is so steeped in the legend and lore of cultures that had no scientific basis for anything that it's not illegitimate, but it is not as legitimate because of that. And so for that reason, and I think I'm speaking for all of us, we have a harder time wrapping our heads around it. But if there is a culture of humanoid-like creatures that coexist with us on Earth and have somehow managed to be camouflaged, that because they just simply have what seemed like magic to our ancestors, but it's just technological advancement.
Thor told us that.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Then it is still a possibility.
No, it is.
I'm not saying it's my number one, but it has to at least make the list in terms of potentialities.
And there are some people, I'm not saying that I necessarily prescribe to this, that possible fairy folk could play to like interdimensional stuff, but I'm not necessarily on that because I don't know enough about fairy stuff.
Well, if you
I guess I don't understand it.
Well, even experts don't know. It's just
we need
it's
a fairy.
very
We need a
subjective.
fairy expert. Is there one listener putting a call out? If you're a fairy expert, hit us up on the socials.
I don't know
and let
what
us know.
that means per se, but
maybe there's got to be people
Like-
that have.
well, there's just
the history.
stories. There's not like
right.
a thing. There's not a definitive
Right.
study of
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? There's just the stories.
I think that's why it's so often associated with extraterrestrials, because the multiply aforementioned Jacques Vallée made a really good case in Passport to Magonia and other works that the descriptions of fairy folk from times of yore correspond directly to descriptions of extraterrestrials in the 20th and 21st centuries, making the leap of assumption that what people just assumed were fairies because they had no idea of life beyond the surly bonds of Earth. They just didn't have any way of
So they just assumed
conceiving
that they were fairies.
That in fact they might well have been. I'm not saying that was Vallee's personal theory, but a lot of people extrapolated from it that they're really extraterrestrials. And these were encounters with extraterrestrials. And that might very well be why, even though this kind of harkens to that kind of old school, weird, destructive tendencies of fairies, that so many people instantly assume that it's extraterrestrial.
Right. Okay.
And maybe it is.
So maybe fairy and extraterrestrial are one and the same.
It could be.
Okay. All right. I'm down.
Or
I'm
like
down.
I say, it could be a civilization hidden somewhere in the jungles.
Unknown to man.
But why would they just
Propeller heads.
slaughter all of her sheep? That's so brutal
Well, I mean,
and callous.
they had a bag of guts, so they had a purpose because they were harvesting.
yeah, but all the guts and all the blood. If you're that tech, you should we as humans just need a small sample of something.
Oh, yeah, to know.
to give you shitloads of information.
Like three
Right.
sheep would all.
You need a
modern
ton of
scientists
guts.
would need
well,
to slaughter. to
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
ton
right.
of guts. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, it
you'd-
sounds like maybe they were using it for some sort of resource if they were taking that much material from all those sheep.
Maybe.
I mean, what else would you? I mean, it's not
Right. But apparently, I mean,
it's like us returning cans. Apparently,
right. So is it a one
I
and
don't
done?
understand
though?
that at
don't
all.
worry about it.
There,
Just continue.
there doesn't seem to be this many at one time done. So did they just do this one time? I mean, somebody would know if they had a herd.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a
and
case
64. You know what I mean?
If
Like
there was-
that
yeah.
many
you
being
would
slaughtered
you
at
would,
the same
you
time.
would hear
Right.
about it.
Yeah,
Certainly.
Yeah. If this was a common occurrence, then you would totally know about it.
So like, oh no, fucked up. These people got cudgels and shit.
And like I say, they didn't take.
oh, maybe this was
they didn't take 10 sheep from 6 different ranches.
right.
That's right. Right.
They
Yeah.
took 63 from
From
one.
one,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Effectively
right.
destroying the livelihood
Yeah.
of the Flores family.
Right.
Now, they obviously weren't concerned about that. They weren't concerned
That's what I
about any
mean.
of this.
You'd think
No, I
if
mean-
they were wanting to not be found, they would pick.
Well,
Yeah.
as
sample from a bunch of different.
Right.
as she was attacking this being, it was trying to talk to her, like screaming and shit.
And it
right?
didn't have a sweet body shield like from Dune. Boom. I did it.
Oh,
The slow blade
the
penetrates
slow
the shield.
Oh, thank you.
Ah, Dune reference number 3 for the month.
They
Two,
didn't
actually.
have any. He basically, a lot of times the weapon he was said to have had was described as boomerang like, because the original account talked about how it kept returning to him.
Right.
But Valentina specifically addressed that as a retractable chain, like sort of
Yeah,
like
something
a
connected
sweet
to it.
morning star,
Yeah.
but that it kept
Yeah,
coming back
yeah.
to the guy. So he couldn't prevent his face from being whacked, his arm from being broken. He had to scoop that shit up in his left arm. He didn't teleport
Yeah.
or fly with
That's
his
what-
super
yeah.
beanie
No,
to the
yeah.
helicopter
No, I mean,
chair.
if he's
he had
using
to run to it.
if he's using wheel technology to getting his tent back in. Apparently they aren't. They are advanced, but not that advanced.
This event that took place in 1967 seemed to use 1973 technology.
It did.
Not 2073.
Yeah, he's
Well,
only
no,
like
well, that's
10
what I
years
mean.
ahead.
There's
Yeah,
no-
really.
Not even. Like
yeah, not
fucking
even, yeah.
a handful.
Shit.
Half a decade ahead at max.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no easier way to get the guts out. Like they didn't have any kind of little scope or like little laser thing.
No,
or,
he was doing it all
no,
by
it was a
hand.
big thing with a fucking like a little sickle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little
Yeah.
sickle and chain.
He was doing it old school.
And he's got a
he was
bag of
taking the shit out
organs.
old school. Yeah.
A hundred pounds of organs.
How did he get the sheep to stick around that long?
He kneeled on him, apparently.
Shit.
I mean, sheep are sheep. There's a reason
Yeah,
why fucking they're called sheep.
Yeah, that's true. That's
They
true.
just fucking hang out and watch the bros get massacred and not do much about it.
Yeah, this
There's
is-
no sheep uprising.
This might
Yeah,
be
no.
one of the weirdest ones we've ever done, honestly.
It's
'Cause I'm
fucking
kind of at a
strange.
loss for like what the fuck this
Yeah,
thing is.
I don't even fucking know,
because it
man.
doesn't. It would be so easy if it was just slightly more technical.
No,
We'd be
this
like,
is-
oh yeah, ET coming
Yeah,
down,
but it's not.
mutilating
No,
animals like they
no.
do. But no, this
It's
is
not.
just like Bill from down the street, not that tall, real pasty,
Wearing a
comes
beanie.
down.
Or yeah, with the propeller
He's
on
got
top.
a chair
Don't
that
worry.
looked like it flew
Yeah.
away
Yeah.
in the chair.
He's like 18
Weird.
years out of fashion, or however many years
Yeah.
from when the beanie fad was all the rage in the United States
yeah.
anyway, and just doing their shit and chopped her in a way. Just
All right.
chopped her in a verb. It is now.
So,
is.
how do we close this out?
We don't. It could be a lot of things.
Oh, it's guano
but
for days.
we-
I don't think she's lying.
No, okay, so we've
Nope.
taken hoax and or
I don't.
lying off the table.
Right.
I don't think
Okay.
it was a government exercise. Like a lot of people say, the animal mutilations in the United States are black helicopters in the United States government trying to see how radiation from atomic bomb tests were affecting the populace, but doing so through cattle and other animals.
It's a terrible way to test that.
Well, maybe, but it's still a way to do it in a kind of secretive way. And then they put weird lights on the helicopters to make people think it was UFOs. And so they'd be able to kind of assess the damage they were doing to their own citizens without having to address or make amends for it to said people. That's one theory.
Okay, all
But
right.
that doesn't
Yeah,
make sense in
no.
this context at
No,
all.
not in this
no.
context, no.
I don't think there
no.
was any atomic tests in the fucking
No.
foothills of
No, I
Bolivia.
mean, you would have heard. It would have been somewhere
Not in
documented.
68. No.
Somewhere it would have
Yeah.
been documented.
It was just us
All
and
right,
Russia at
so-
that point. Maybe China.
All right, so Robert, what are you leaning towards here?
I'm really intrigued by the fact that there are so many legends involving just non-indigenous Caucasians that brought technology to these different cultures. I don't think, like the ancient alien theorists, that they're necessarily extraterrestrial. I mean, Kon-Tiki and Thor Heyerdahl and other people have proven that people could navigate the oceans long before we give
Right.
them credit for it. In fact, there's a lot of people that say genetic finds in South America indicate that people, it wasn't just the group that crossed the Bering Strait during
Right.
those early days, that other people came much earlier, probably on boats. So maybe it's just a technologically advanced culture that is extremely isolated. To this day, there are, granted, few and far between, pockets of indigenous peoples that have not had contact with the world at large.
Okay.
Maybe this one group is intentionally staying uninvolved with people, and this is a case of two really sloppy scientists or whatever the fuck they were,
Restaurateurs.
possibly going out into the field,
Jesus.
and were clearly surprised when they got seen. They just thought it was just a random flock hanging out in the middle of nowhere. They didn't know someone was off just fetching their llama 45 minutes away, and they got busted. And while I'm not 100% sure this is what it is, I at least find that more plausible and intriguing than any of the other theories I've come across.
All right, I'm going to say fairy folk from the Hollow Earth. There you go.
Oh, the Hollow Earth.
I take it back. He's right.
I'm not even gonna.
Yep.
I'm not even gonna give an explanation of why I think that. I'm just gonna say, it sounds about right.
Sure.
Sounds good.
Why not?
All right,
It
Christopher.
does. Well, for me, there's no, the evidence doesn't lead. There's just as much evidence for one as the other. There's just not. I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know.
All right,
For me, it
so-
could easily be as extraterrestrial as it could some hidden.
Although Rob and I are staying terrestrial. I'm saying fairy folk, Hollow Earth. I'm combining two things, and then Rob
Yeah,
is saying
Technically, you're interterrestrial.
Ooh, I am. That's right.
Well, you don't even know if the origins of those are terrestrial. Maybe they're not.
They might not be,
That's what I'm. So
or they could be.
Oh, extraterrestrials of the inner Earth.
it's hard to say extraterrestrial. It's just the
Yeah.
odds of really that.
Well, and here's the thing: if you've captured not even just interstellar travel, if you've captured intersolar system travel, You don't have hand crank mechanisms. You don't use sticks to fucking
seemingly
do the things. You're probably beyond helichairs.
Right.
I think.
But I feel like but that smacks of the tech of the time too. Like I said, not a decade or so later. Like,
I mean, what's not saying
They're
about
not the tech of the time that Valentina Flores would likely have been exposed to. Likely. I don't say definitely, but likely.
Right.
Yeah, and that's really the only thing. If there was some outlandish fucking tech, maybe it's just whack.
It does seem kind of like it's per the time.
I didn't really make this clear enough, so I'll say it now. When JJ Benitez talked to her, she had spoken to one newspaper reporter who came down because of the government's interest in the case.
Right.
And so she had not talked about it or been contacted by anyone in the ensuing 34 years or whatever between 1967 and 2001.
Right.
When she talked, at least according to Benitez, it's not like she had become like kind of a pseudo celebrity. It's not like she became. She moved far away from the region. Mm-hmm. She was shocked that someone had bothered to track her down about some weird incident that happened to her so many years ago. Yeah. She's 59 at this point. She was 24 when it happened. She told her Quechua translator, because he's a Spanish speaker. Mm-hmm. She still didn't speak Spanish. She was still illiterate, and she still, as I mentioned, did not know what a UFO was or an extraterrestrial.
Right. She has no point of reference.
For her, it was just some asshole who fucking shot off into the sky with a pile of guts that ruined her family's business and made them leave their home.
Right.
And start having to mine for a while and then move many miles down south to start a whole new life. Right. It was just an asshole that fucked her shit up. And so to me, that's an interesting perspective. Not somebody like so many other people. Like, listen, if you have a weird sighting and you become kind of a mini celebrity from it, you can't be faulted for that. That's fine. Yeah. But this was not the case with her. She didn't become exposed to a lot of the stuff and then have a chance to formulate advanced theories. Right. To her, she was shocked all these years later that somebody else even wanted to talk to her about it. It was just a bad part of a bad memory.
Yeah, it happened, and that's it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's a classic, and I'm glad to, at least to the best of our ability, set the record straight. Yeah. Because there's a lot of accounts out there that probably through no fault of their own represent it as this really great sci-fi moment, and it is, but there's little details. The red mustache perhaps being my favorite.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
The abundant mustache
laid out there.
Yeah, this is on the rare occasion that we can't put this into a box.
Oh, not at all.
I mean, we can obviously.
We often don't really know, but this one
this one we actually have no clue.
Yeah.
Like when I say fairies from the hollow earth, you know that
that's your way of admitting
that there is no. I have zero fucking idea what this thing could even possibly be.
Yeah.
Although fairies from the hollow earth do sound kind of cool.
It's fun.
I got zero evidence, but I think we've all learned that you don't need evidence. You just say it, and people are like, "Yeah, totally."
All you need
agree
is,
with you.
Chutzpah,
gusto,
and belief.
Moxie. And what was the other one? There's moxie and was it pluck?
Dignity and courage.
I've got pluck.
Yeah, you do.
Pluck.
Jesus Christ.
No, Puck was on the real world, right?
Puck. Puck was also the little person from Alpha Flight.
Oh, Alpha Flight reference number 43 for the pod.
Oh my God, what is wrong with us between Dune and Alpha Flight?
No, Dune, Alpha Flight, and Grim Reaper we talk about fucking constantly because it's where we live.
It's bizarre.
we live in a realm of Grim Reaper, Alpha Flight, and fucking
But we really
Dune.
don't. I can't even remember the last time I watched Dune.
Yeah, no, same here.
I know.
Same here. All righty. Thank you for joining us for this interestingly complicated episode of the Kryptonaut Podcast. Be sure to rate and review this episode on the iTunes and the Apple Podcast apps. It helps us out greatly. We are on the social medias, the Twitters,
yes,
the
we are.
Instagrams,
Twitter,
totes,
the Facebooks. Hit us up there, like, comment. You know what, too? It would help if you like this podcast. Tell other people about it. Word of mouth is really big for us.
Absolutely.
So we get emails from people like, "Oh, hey, my friend listens to this in the office." We actually had 2 emails like that just this week, where people are like, "Oh, this person in the office listens to it. They told me to check this show out. I like it a lot." So keep doing that. And also, too, you can contact us
on
Anytime.
a pretty regular basis. I actually have time set aside in my schedule to speak with listeners of the show.
You do. I know it's one of your favorite
Yeah,
times.
yeah,
of
I
the
know.
week.
No, seriously. I'm like, all right, I got 2 hours to answer emails today.
And Chris and I belong to the Book of Many Faces.
Yeah, you Chris are on the Book of Many Faces.
We
I'm on
are.
the Book of
We
Many
are.
Faces.
Yeah.
If you want to contact Chris and Rob, hit them up on the Book of Many Faces. Hit me up on the Instagrams and or the Twitters. That's where I mostly hang out.
We
And,
are
there it is.
accessible.
We are.
I know. I
We
should
are.
probably actually say my name sometime because I haven't in a while. I don't think.
That's true.
Yeah, you should. Well, you are Chris Carnicelli.
The
I am.
enigmatic Chris
And you
Carnicelli.
are Rob Morphy.
I sure am. Keep your ears peeled. I'm going to be on a couple of radio shows coming up, but I'll give you guys heads up as to what they will be and where you can hear them in the near future. And if you happen to be a sheep-slaying ginger from the nethers, the bowels of South America, be cool and don't ruin any more fucking families. Spread those fucking guttings out amongst like 7 or 8
Yeah.
families.
Just take 2.
So that they all can take
Yeah.
a little hit, but that they're not fucking destroyed by this, all right?
Totally.
Be a mensch.
We're talking to you.
Get it together.
Mini Mangala.